You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
A warning on Medicaid cuts. Healthcare leaders say they could mean a matter of life and death. The devastating impact they say this will have on treating patients here in the Bay Area.
Because we're going to allow 450,000 people in Santa Clara County and 14 million nationwide to be pushed off of a healthcare cliff.
Plus, it might have been too much of a good thing. My organizers of a San Francisco night market have pulled the plug on the popular event.
That doesn't really benefit us, and then it actually causes trouble.
And many consider them our best friends, the startup that's hoping to provide our pets with a new leash on life.
How much time are we talking here? Months, years?
So that's what we're actually currently studying with this 5-year-long trial.
Well, thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to have those stories and lots more right after our news headlines. Today, day 4 of trash continuing to pile up in neighborhoods across the Bay Area. That is because of a work stoppage causing a backlog in pickups. Here's a map of the communities affected here in the Bay Area, from the East Bay to the South Bay to the Peninsula, all trying to figure out what to do with their garbage. The Teamsters Union says about 600 members who work for Republic Services walked off the job in solidarity with 40 striking workers in Stockton who are seeking better wages and working conditions. The company says that during the work stoppage, it is prioritizing service for essential businesses like hospitals and nursing homes. Alternate trash drop-off sites are open to the public in Fremont and Union City. President Trump touring the flood devastation in central Texas today. He's meeting with first responders and families of some of the victims. It's been 1 week since flash flooding there killed more than 100 people.
It's a horrible thing, Nobody can even believe it, such a thing. That much water that fast.
More than 170 people are still unaccounted for, including a family from Marin County. A bust on an Oakland street that's become notorious for illegal dumping. 2 people arrested and multiple cars seized. It was part of an auto theft task force operation yesterday on Pear Main Street. That is about 3 miles south of the Coliseum. Officials still have not given a lot of details, but they did say they were serving a warrant as part of an ongoing investigation. All right, the weekend is upon us. Let's get another check on our first alert forecast. A little smoke from fires in the northern Sacramento Valley could actually be affecting the air quality in some parts of the Bay Area today. Let's check in with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Friday. We have made it through a very long work week, and now that we are almost at the weekend, it's still going to be hot out there for any outdoor activities. So in our inland communities, please be aware of that today. You're still going to be in the upper 90s, but it might be a degree or 2 cooler than yesterday. You're no longer going to be in the triple digits, so hey, that's slightly better, and an even bigger cool down will arrive tomorrow. So keep that in mind. If you enjoy the heat, get out there today. We'll be seeing those highs down by the Bay in the 80s, and North Bay communities also in the 80s. It's the coast that's going to be cooler, more comfortable, with a little bit more cloud coverage that's likely going to stick around, keeping those highs in the 60s, if not low 60s, the closer to the coast you get. Either way, though, it is going to be above average for this time of year for basically all of the Bay Area. Inland communities well above average by nearly 5 to 10 degrees. And again, the closer to the coast you get, the more seasonable it gets, but still a degree or 2 above normal for this time of year. Heat safety is going to be a bit of an issue, but it's only that moderate risk for heat-related illness. For those of us that have lived here for a while, this honestly is not too bad. It's well off of record-breaking territory. And again, a cool down will be arriving by tomorrow as those onshore winds begin to pick up, gusting up to 35 miles an hour, and that is again going to usher in a bit of a cool down by as soon as tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, the heat-related risk going to be significantly lower, and it will continue to lower into the work week ahead of us. Look at that, a big roller coaster ride across those inland communities from the 90s through Monday, getting back down into the low 80s by the time that we step out into next week. So all things to keep our eyes on as we continue over the weekend ahead of us. Today will easily be the warmest day, getting back down to seasonable by Saturday and Sunday for areas around the Bay, and then getting back down to below average by the time that we step out late next week. So again, if you enjoy the heat, you're going to love it today, or enjoy the more comfortable conditions this weekend.
There has been a lot of warning from local advocates all the way to lawmakers on Capitol Hill about the possible impacts of President Trump's new spending bill. One of the biggest concerns is over health care. Now, Santa Clara County leaders are sounding the alarm that it could have dire consequences for public hospitals and patients. The president signed that bill into law last week, but many of the measures won't take effect until the end of next year. That includes nearly $1 trillion in cuts to SNAP and Medicaid programs. It imposes new work requirements for recipients as well. The bill's supporters say it would cut down on fraud. But for those who rely on Medicaid, it could mean losing access to care, and it could add more financial strain to families. Leaders in Santa Clara County estimate they will lose about $1 billion as soon as the bill takes effect. Andrea Nakano talked to some people who are concerned and vowing to fight back.
Know this, 1 out of every 4 residents.
Betty Duong is one of the newcomers on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. She never imagined 6 months into the job, the county would be facing a huge shortfall that puts residents' health care and food assistance programs at risk.
This is unacceptable. This is not where we balance the budget, not on the lives of the innocent, not at the cost of generations to come, because we're going to allow 450,000 people in Santa Clara County and 14 million nationwide to be pushed off of a healthcare cliff.
Duong is the first Asian American woman to serve on the Board of Supervisors in Santa Clara County. Her family immigrated to the United States after the Vietnam War and lived in Section 8 housing before moving to the East Side.
Like so many Americans, what we did is that we took that opportunity to build a new life for ourselves and anchor ourselves here in our new home.
Her rich and diverse heritage gives her a unique perspective on how the federal funding cuts will impact the immigrant community in the South Bay. She heard from people scared of what's to come.
But I have also witnessed the many struggles of my community.
Caitlin Madrigal joined an organization called Latinos Contra Cancer to fight back against the cuts and to fight for her family's health care.
We are of lower socioeconomic status. We are an immigrant family, and all of these cuts raise a lot of concerns for my family and how we're going to maneuver this.
A big challenge for Santa Clara County is how it will preserve its public hospital system. It's the second largest in the state, and 70% of funding comes from the federal government through Medicare and Medicaid. County Financial Executive James Williams says the public hospitals represent 50% of trauma and burn centers in the state and is a training ground for doctors.
And that really special role that these 6% of hospitals play has to be preserved and protected. The state can do that, even though we all recognize that the state can't make up for all the lost federal revenue.
While the cuts are not expected to come until next year, the county says the impacts will be felt right away. Elected leaders at every level will have to get creative to make sure residents don't go without the vital services they need.
We're going to have to cut services in other parts of the county to make sure that our emergency departments stay open, beds remain available, and people who need care continue to receive care.
Well, the Congressional Budget Office estimates President Trump's bill will leave millions without health insurance across the country and add nearly $3.5 trillion to federal deficits over the next decade. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, an immigration raid leading to a tense standoff with hundreds of protesters. How things turned chaotic in Southern California. Plus, an event that brought thousands of visitors to San Francisco's Sunset District is a no-go this year. How the night market could be a victim of its own success.
It really brought too many people out.
And we are going to meet the Bay Area high school students working on a device that could give people with mobility issues a new helping hand.
We're looking at another warm day today across the bay, but along the areas actually by the bay, it's going to be comfortable, mid-70s, and then gradually cooling down by the time that we step out this upcoming weekend, but just back to seasonable for this time of year. It's our inland communities that are going to be seeing that much bigger roller coaster ride when it comes to our temperatures. Upper 90s today, upper 80s by Saturday, and staying that way throughout the weekend of weather ahead of us. But by early next week, we are going to be noticing an even bigger cool down. Keep that in mind. If you enjoy the heat, you're going to love it out there today.
This weekend marks 1 year since the assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. A gunman opened fire during a campaign rally, grazing Trump's ear. This week, the agency suspended 6 agents without pay in connection with the security failure. The agency also made other changes, including upgrades that allow agents to communicate over radio directly with local law enforcement.
Those improvements. I think they've looked inward and looked in a reflective way of what went wrong, obviously, at Butler, and it was completely ill in terms of the way that advance was done. I think we all know that.
1 person was killed, 2 others wounded in that attack before a Secret Service sniper killed the gunman. And CBS News launched a months-long investigation into the would-be assassin, Thomas Crooks. You can learn more at cbsnews.com/life of Thomas Crooks. Matthew Mueller, whose kidnapping of Denise Huskins made national headlines in 2015, has now been sentenced to another life term for a separate home invasion that happened weeks later. A judge in Contra Costa County handed down that sentence yesterday of life without the possibility of parole. Mueller had earlier pleaded no contest to aggravated kidnapping. He confessed to a ransom scheme during an interview last year. He is already serving time for the kidnapping of Huskins in Vallejo, which police had mistakenly called a hoax. Tense standoff between federal agents and protesters in Southern California. Tear gas canisters going off as agents march forward, some with guns drawn. This happened yesterday outside of Glass House Farms, that is located in Camarillo, about 60 miles northwest of LA. The Department of Homeland Security says that its agents were serving a warrant at a marijuana facility. Reporter Carter Evans was there.
Angry protesters clashed with mass federal agents Thursday during an immigration raid at a cannabis farm north of Los Angeles in Ventura County. Witnesses say agents tossed smoke bombs at protesters.
They threw one under the car, and then all the car inside, it got full of smoke.
As the situation escalated, agents deployed what appeared to be tear gas, sending much of the crowd running.
There's got to be a better way than the way that they're acting right now.
Some appeared to throw rocks at government vehicles. At one point, a man appeared to be firing a gun, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Melissa Tapia says she was waiting to hear from her family who worked at the farm.
They took my brother, they took his phone away. They're banging on there, not letting people out.
In neighboring Santa Barbara County, another raid targeted a second cannabis farm owned by the same company.
What about the children that are going to be taken from their family?
On Monday, agents swept through MacArthur Park in Los Angeles with military trucks. The latest show of force after last month's crackdown included agents chasing workers in the fields.
We don't want to do it where we take all of the workers off the farms. We want the farms to do great.
Last week, President Trump said he would allow undocumented migrants to stay in the country if farmers would vouch for them. But Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said Wednesday that farm workers would not be given amnesty from deportation.
This president has been unequivocal first in his commitment to no amnesty, his commitment to mass deportations, his commitment to securing the border.
Now, it's unclear how many people were arrested, but we saw agents leading away dozens of people. There were buses here as well. And on social media, Customs and Border Protection said that they picked up 10 juveniles inside the marijuana facility. All of them were undocumented. And as for that guy with the gun, well, the FBI is now offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to his arrest.
And a few people did get hurt. 4 people were taken to the hospital. 3 others were treated and released. We are learning more about a fireworks explosion in Antioch last weekend that left 5 people injured. NFL running back and East Bay native Najee Harris was among the people hurt. This happened on Spanos Street just after midnight on Saturday. Harris's agent said the running back suffered an eye injury in that explosion that injured 4 other people. He says Harris is expected to be ready for the upcoming NFL season. He recently signed a 1-year, $9.5 million deal to play for the LA Chargers. The latest name change for the Oakland airport is a step closer to taking off on the runway. That is after a unanimous vote by commissioners at the Port of Oakland. They want to call it Oakland San Francisco Bay Airport. Their goal is to increase air travel into Oakland and boost economic activity. But SFO disapproves, saying the name change seeks to capitalize on SFO's globally recognized brand. A second and final vote set for July 24th. A popular night market is on hiatus this year in San Francisco and may have really become a victim of its own success. We're talking about the Sunset Night Market, which drew thousands of visitors when it debuted 2 years ago on a 7-block stretch of Irving Street. Last year's edition brought out even bigger crowds. So what happened? Our Suji Nam spoke with organizers and a business owner who says she's actually relieved it was canceled this year.
Teresa Zhang is whipping up some signature halal dishes at Nuri Pakistani and Indian cuisine in the Sunset District. The restaurant has been in the neighborhood for more than 15 years, but like many nearby businesses, the pandemic has impacted their foot traffic. So bringing the Sunset Night Market right across the street along Irving Avenue should have been a boost.
I think the night market is really fun. I'm from Taiwan. This is part of our background.
However, Zhang says that wasn't the case. Instead, she says pop-up vendors pulled customers away from local businesses during the market.
That doesn't really benefit us, and then it actually causes us trouble. Trouble means, my regular customers, they have hard time to get in here. And there's no way to park. And then for the delivery, the driver has hard time to get the food, so end up they give up.
The Sunset Mercantile collaborated with the Sunset Chinese Cultural District, along with other partners beginning in 2023, to host 2 Friday night markets. What started off as a 3-block market soon expanded to 7 blocks with about 150 vendors. Angie Pettit, the founder of Sunset Mercantile, says while she was grateful for the 20,000 people who popped by the market, the unexpected turnout overwhelmed organizers.
It really brought too many people out. We would really like to create a market for the Sunset. Yes, of course, everybody's welcome, but it's not a desire to make it bigger and create even more structure around this large behemoth of an event.
The city granted the night market $120,000 to host the event, but organizers say they didn't get the funding until about 8 months after the last market was over. They say the financial uncertainty, along with the need to fine-tune a more controlled event, made them hit pause on planning more night markets this year.
It was a colossal success, maybe too successful. We started with 10,000 people the first year, then 20,000 people the next year. How much bigger can it get? It's hard to sustain, it's expensive.
District 4 Supervisor Joel Engardio and organizers both say the markets aren't canceled for good. They just need to figure out how to be sustainable for everyone.
Hoping to bring it back early next year, maybe in conjunction with Lunar New Year. That would be amazing.
The Outer Sunset Merchants and Professional Association told us the vast majority of businesses along the Irving corridor are in favor of the markets returning. But Zhang says she'd rather see the city focus on other ways to boost local business.
I would say the homeless issue, and then the street need to be cleaner.
Meanwhile, organizers say they do plan to find more collaborative ways to make sure businesses like this longtime halal restaurant also benefit from future night markets.
Mayor Lurie has touted night markets as one of his strategies for revitalizing neighborhoods. He even had a night market in Chinatown as part of his inauguration festivities. We reached out to the city for comment on the Sunset Market. A spokesperson told us, quote, conversations about a future activation are ongoing, and we're excited to support an event that champions local businesses and celebrates AAPI culture. Still ahead, while most kids are enjoying their summer break, we're going to introduce you to a group of East Bay teens back in the classroom perfecting an invention to help people with mobility issues. It was just recognized by a prestigious university.
And it basically just makes it easier to do everyday tasks like picking up like a pencil or like grasping objects.
And the Golden State Valkyries back in action this weekend. You can catch them on KPIX and streaming on Paramount Plus. They're heading to Vegas to take on the Aces. Our coverage tomorrow starts at 1 p.m.
It is going to be well above average across our inland communities, especially for those of you who live in our inland East Bay. It's going to be about 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. So if you're planning on heading out, maybe spending the day outdoors, heat safety is still going to be top of mind. It is going to be a degree or two cooler than yesterday, no longer seeing the triple digits, but still upper 90s. That is still hot. And again, sunscreen, sunglasses, light, loose-fitting clothing. Limit your time outdoors if you can. South Bay communities are going to be seeing upper 80s to low 90s. North Bay communities, mid to upper 80s. And as usual, the closer to the coast you get, the cooler it gets, mid to lower 60s actually, because a bit more of that cloud coverage is likely going to stick around along the coast, while the inland areas dealing with high pressure and a lot more heat, bringing us that about 40-degree temperature spread across the Bay Area. By tomorrow, though, we are going to notice some big differences. You'll notice that onshore flow picking up, really ushering in more of the cool down. And by tomorrow afternoon, those highs are only going to be in the mid to upper 80s to low 90s across the inland communities, staying basically the same along the coast, though. So the roller coaster continues for the inland areas, while our coastal communities will stay pretty tight along the mid 60s to low 60s. For this time of year, that is very, very normal, while inland communities are going to be getting back to normal conditions by as soon as this weekend. And by next week, we'll actually be noticing below average weather returning to the forecast, and we're going to be seeing a lot more cloud coverage as well. So if you live along our coastal communities, get ready for that full Where's the Sky July to return as soon as Sunday, and hopefully enjoy a few more peaks of sunshine today and tomorrow while you can. Back to you.
Well, most high school students are enjoying their summer vacation away from school, but one group of teens in the East Bay decided they would rather spend their free time inside the classroom, trying to perfect their latest invention after being honored with a very prestigious award from MIT. Ryan Yamamoto shows us it is a high-tech design that could someday help people with hand mobility issues.
When a group of students at Ignacio Valley High School were handed a problem,
I'm controlling each of the fingers individually.
This is the invention Jonathan Perez and his peers came up with.
For example, the middle finger, I can bring it all the way down. And then same thing for the index and the ring finger.
So this is our prototype.
A prototype that Anaya Taylor describes as an exoskeleton hand.
This project is officially named Dextera, and it basically just makes it easier to do everyday tasks like picking up like a pencil or like grasping objects.
The students at Ignacio Valley High School began working on the blueprints and concepts for their design back in October, after their proposal earned them a Lemelson MIT Invent Team grant worth $7,500. The goal, come up with a technological solution to real-world problems. Each piece of their design created inside the classroom.
And we get the G-code from this and then export it into the SD card.
Althea Vivar showing us how they used a 3D printer to build each component.
There's one for the fingers, there's one for the palm, one for the wrist, and in another iteration we have a whole arm brace.
Everything starting from scratch.
And this app is very simple.
Like Lee, even building the app that controls the hand.
It's very easy to access since everyone's using phones.
And this past June, the Ignacio Valley Invent Team traveled from the East Bay to the East Coast, where they presented their invention to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, along with 8 other high schools across the country. And to their surprise, they were honored by MIT with this trophy called the Golden Beaver Award.
This is so prestigious. It's given by the MIT Lincoln Lab and the MIT School of Engineering. This is only given to one invent team every year, and this year we were the ones who they decided as the most technological advanced invention.
And this summer, they're already busy working on the next version, the exoskeleton going from prototype to eventually meant to wear.
And then we have our arm brace, which houses the motors and basically can like act as like a stabilizer.
The students hoping one day their design will truly give someone a helping hand.
The Ignacio Valley High School Invent Team's design is now patent pending. They're presenting a demonstration to the Concord Rotary Club, which helped sponsor their trip to the East. By the way, if their teacher, Joseph Alverico, looks familiar, we actually featured him in a story last year when he was honored as the 2024 Teacher of the Year for the state of California. Well, this is something that Sanrio fans have been waiting for. Today's the grand opening of the Bay Area's first Hello Kitty Cafe, located at Westfield Valley Fair Mall in Santa Clara. Their PR company says the cafe is 2,300 square feet. It has indoor and patio seating, features Hello Kitty themed desserts and pastries, and afternoon tea service. These people lined up early this morning before the doors even open. In fact, we spotted a handful of Sanrio fans lining up as early as yesterday. People we talked to say they could not wait for the grand opening.
I've been here for a while to be first in line. And she's second in line.
Yes, I came at 7 p.m., I want to say. So I've been waiting for this to open for like 3 years now. So I definitely wanted to be here like long time and ready.
Hardcore. Hello Kitty herself is going to be there through the weekend from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Coming up in the next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, President Trump's immigration crackdown sending a spike in visitors to a law library in the East Bay. The advice from legal experts for anyone seeking advice. Plus, an experimental pill that could help your pets live just a little longer. I'll tell you how it works.
The idea of creating medication that can change the aging process is really revolutionary.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for being with us this Friday. I'm Ann Makovic. Here is another look at some of our news headlines. Today, day 4 of trash continuing to pile up in neighborhoods across the Bay Area. That is because of a work stoppage causing a backlog in pickups. This happened in the East Bay, to the South Bay and the Peninsula as well. The Teamsters Union says about 600 members who work for Republic Services walked off the job in solidarity with 40 striking workers in Stockton who are seeking better wages and working conditions. President Trump touring the flood devastation in central Texas today. He's meeting with first responders and families of some of the victims. It's been 1 week since flash floods there killed more than 100 people, more than 170 others still unaccounted for, including a family from Marin County. A bust on an Oakland street that's become notorious for illegal dumping. 2 people arrested and multiple cars seized as part of an auto theft task force operation yesterday on Pear Main Street. That's about 3 miles south of the Coliseum. Officials haven't given a lot of details, but they did say they were serving a warrant as part of an ongoing investigation. All right, let's get another check on our first alert forecast this Friday and this brief heat wave with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Friday. We have made it through a very long work week, and now that we are almost at the weekend, it's still going to be hot out there for any outdoor activities. So in our inland communities, please be aware of that today. You're still going to be in the upper 90s, but it might be a degree or 2 cooler than yesterday. You're no longer going to be in the triple digits, so hey, that's slightly better, and an even bigger cool down will arrive tomorrow. So keep that in mind. If you enjoy the heat, get out there today. We'll be seeing those highs down by the bay in the 80s, and North Bay communities also in the 80s. It's the coast that's going to be cooler, more comfortable with a little bit more cloud coverage that's likely going to stick around, keeping those highs in the 60s, if not low 60s, the closer to the coast you get. Either way, though, it is going to be above average for this time of year for basically all of the Bay Area. Inland communities well above average by nearly 5 to 10 degrees. And again, the closer to the coast you get, the more seasonable it gets, but still a degree or 2 above normal for this time of year. Heat safety is going to be a bit of an issue, but it's only that moderate risk for heat-related illness. For those of us that have lived here for a while, this honestly is not too bad. It's well off of record-breaking territory. And again, a cool down will be arriving by tomorrow as those onshore winds begin to pick up, gusting up to 35 miles an hour, and that is again going to usher in a bit of a cool down by as soon as tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, the heat-related risk going to be significantly lower, and it will continue to lower into the work week ahead of us. Look at that, a big roller coaster ride across those inland communities from the 90s through Monday, getting back down into the low 80s by the time that we step out into next week. So all things to keep our eyes on as we continue over the weekend ahead of us. Today will easily be the warmest day, getting back down to seasonable by Saturday and Sunday for areas around the Bay, and then getting back down to below average by the time that we step out late next week. So again, if you enjoy the heat, you're going to love it today, or enjoy the more comfortable conditions this weekend.
A showdown in Southern California over the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration. At one point, a protester appeared to be firing a gun at masked ICE agents, and happened during an ICE raid at a cannabis farm yesterday in Ventura County. Neighbors came out and protested. ICE agents used smoke canisters and what appeared to be tear gas on the crowd. Protesters were also seen throwing rocks at ICE vans, even smashing a windshield. Not clear how many people were taken into custody, but we did see agents leading away dozens of people. Well, ICE raids and court rulings have put immigrant communities on edge. Now, many people want to make sure they understand their rights. As Kara St. Cyr shows us, for some of them, that means going to the Alameda County Law Library.
Emily Bergfeld is used to sourcing legal help.
So these are legal self-help books on topics like tenants' rights, filing for divorce.
Bergfeld, a librarian at the Alameda County Law Library, says she's recently seen a steady flow of people seeking information on immigration law.
You know, when the immigration orders were more in the news, when there were more executive orders coming out, and when, you know, the enforcement was increasing a bit.
Bergfeld says she noticed the foot traffic increase last month, with more and more people stopping by.
Okay, here's some immigration stuff.
Looking for information about how to protect themselves and loved ones.
These are a lot of old case reporters.
Alameda County Immigration Legal and Education Partnership established a hotline in March. Since then, the hotline has already fielded over 1,000 calls.
Oh, and here's, I guess here are a few more immigration titles here.
Bill Hing, an immigration attorney in the Bay Area, says his office is also inundated with calls.
One common question that's being asked is, am I going to get arrested if I go in for my regularly scheduled ICE check-in?
Hing says it's okay to research immigration law, but it's best to consult an attorney or reach out to advocacy groups for the best case scenario.
Rather than going to a book, go to the Bar Association of San Francisco, or the Bar Association of San Mateo County, or the Bar Association of Alameda County.
Bergfeld's revamped immigration law resources in the library, hoping to point visitors in the right direction.
For the immigration, we have a separate immigration resources page.
A simple way to help people find what they're looking for.
About judicial versus.
The Law Library is on 12th Street in Oakland. It's open weekdays from 9 to 4. They also have a special immigration page on their website. The Trump administration is taking aim at California's animal cruelty laws. Voters overwhelmingly approved 2 ballot measures over the past 2 decades, mandating that eggs sold in California must come from chickens raised with enough room to spread their wings. Well, the feds are now suing the state over those rules, saying they're making eggs too expensive. The Justice Department says California is creating unnecessary red tape. Supporters of California's laws say the suit has no merit.
And so this latest attempt to blame 2025 egg prices nationwide on this California law that's been upheld time and time again by the courts, including by the Supreme Court of the United States, it really just shows that this case is about politics and not about constitutional law.
In a statement, Attorney General Pam Bondi said Americans are suffering the consequences of liberal policies causing massive inflation. The complaint does not mention the bird flu epidemic that ravaged the egg industry earlier this year. In a post on X, Newsom's press office wrote that President Trump is back to his favorite hobby, blaming California for literally everything. Up next, Gavin Newsom caused the fall of Rome and sent the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Well, for those of us who have pets, we never want to think about the day that we'll have to say goodbye to them. But now a new experimental pill could help them live just a little longer. Our Itai Hod gives us a look at the drug that is unleashing new hope.
They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But here in Santa Clara, we met a mutt who's out to master the best one yet.
Come on, Cheddar.
How to stay a little longer.
He's been there for me, really through thick and thin.
A rescue, Cheddar has been part of Courtney Farrow's life since college.
All right, come on.
But at 11, even the best boys start to slow down.
He got tired on walks more quickly. He was having a hard time getting into the car, jumping up on our bed.
So when she heard about a pill that might extend his life,
here's your pill.
She signed him up.
Any questions or concerns while he's been on the medication?
No. The trial, run by Bay Area company Loyal,
good boy,
has enrolled more than 1,000 senior dogs to see if a daily dose can help them stay healthier into their golden years.
Good boy.
Dr. Amit Atwal, one of 70 vets participating in the study, says the pill mimics the effect of calorie restriction, which has been shown to slow aging in animals.
How much time are we talking here? Months, years?
So that's what we're actually currently studying with this 5-year-long trial, is exactly how much time we can get, but we're hoping for at least 1 year of very good quality life.
After a year of research, the FDA said there's enough evidence to suggest it could work, but full approval could be a few dog years away. It all comes as pet spending in the U.S. is soaring from $90 billion in 2018 to over $150 billion in 2024.
This could be a game changer.
Dr. Dana Varble, the chief veterinary officer for the North American veterinary community, says it's part of a bigger shift in focusing more on the health of our furry friends.
The idea of creating medication that can change the aging process is really revolutionary. And I'll tell you why. We don't have it coming for humans. So the fact that this is being pursued and being pursued very actively is really remarkable.
Come on, let's go.
Because when it comes to man's best friend, hitting pause on the clock no longer seems far-fetched.
Well, the study is only open to dogs at least 10 years old that weigh more than 14 pounds. Coming up next, the sky is the limit for this teen. We're going to meet the 18-year-old pilot who came up with an AI tool for airports that don't have an air traffic controller.
I personally came across multiple mid-air collisions, so that was one of the main inspirations where I do not want any other pilot to experience something I felt.
We're looking at another warm day today across the bay, but along the areas actually by the bay, it's going to be comfortable, mid-70s, and then gradually cooling down by the time that we step out this upcoming weekend, but just back to seasonable for this time of year. It's our inland communities that are going to be seeing that much bigger roller coaster ride when it comes to our temperatures. Upper 90s today, upper 80s by Saturday, and staying that way throughout the weekend of weather ahead of us. But by early next week, we are going to be noticing an even bigger cool down. Keep that in mind. If you enjoy the heat, you're going to love it out there today.
Well, the FAA is getting a $12.5 billion boost that will go toward modernizing its aging air traffic control system. It's all part of President Trump's budget bill, which he signed last week. And while there is a lot of focus on the control towers, most U.S. airports don't actually have them. This is where a local teen pilot steps in. He's come up with a new AI tool to try to prevent dangerous situations for pilots who aren't getting a lot of help on the ground. Our Max Darrow introduces us to this 18-year-old innovator.
There is a lot that fuels humans' fascination with flight. And for 18-year-old Maizan Rupan Tompkins, that fascination stems from a feeling.
Just the feeling, I'm just like almost being on top of the world.
And from science.
And how planes just take off and all the principles on just aerodynamics.
Maizan is a young pilot with a background in computer science and AI, and he says he's developed an AI tool called Stratus that will make aviation safer. The idea stemmed from his own in-flight experiences.
I personally came across multiple mid-air collisions, so that was one of the main inspirations where I do not want any other pilot to experience something I felt. Currently with airports, there's barely any AI integration, so I feel like just making a small step and improving safety and safety nets can help a lot.
Stratus is a real-time autonomous co-pilot system that uses AI to listen to and understand pilot comms and flag abnormalities before they become dangerous in situations where there is no air traffic controller. Maizan says while major airports have dedicated air traffic control, 85% of airports throughout the country are either low-resourced or totally untowered.
But uncontrolled means there's actually no one that has jurisdiction over your communications. It's kind of free form. So you speak over, it's called a CTAF, a common traffic advisory frequency, and you announce your, let's say, your decisions to everyone on this frequency.
Most of the regional airports in the Bay Area are towered.
So yeah, that right there, that's the San Carlos Airport Tower.
However,
there are airports such as Half Moon Bay or Byron, which are in the Bay Area, which are non-towered airports. But airports such as Hayward or Reed Hillview, after hours, they do become untowered.
I think there's a huge use for that. I think he's really onto something with this.
Scott Miller is a commercial airline pilot, aviation lecturer at San Jose State University, and flight instructor. He says there already is a very high level of safety in aviation, but upon first look, he's really enthusiastic about Maizan's idea.
Never contemplated having AI monitor uncontrolled fields and be able to actually activate a response. Beautiful.
Maizan says his AI tool will not replace controllers, but rather aid them and support pilots in places they don't exist.
This is not powered by, let's say, just large language models, but rather statistical machine learning models that are based on historic flight training data. Even if it's like 1% or 2% increase in safety can help out and go a long ways.
A young innovator, hopeful his technology takes off, making the skies safer, one flight at a time.
Pretty impressive. Maizan says he is in talks with numerous airports throughout the region and has a goal of deploying it at 10 locations this summer. Coming up, we're going to introduce you to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
Meet the Bay Area woman who crafted a first-of-its-kind law in the nation that allows prosecutors to take a second look at their old cases and make a case for freedom based on rehabilitation.
Never give up, baby.
A former prosecutor in San Francisco said that she had a realization that when a person is sentenced and goes to prison, that's not the end of their story. It can be just the beginning. Our Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
Oh, I love that.
Former prosecutor Hillary Blount says she gained a fresh understanding of the transformation that can happen in prison when she visited San Quentin.
And I met so many men that just seemed that they'd be better in our community giving back than languishing and wasting away in prison.
Hillary learned the people she met had served years for their crimes, but still had decades left in their sentence. And that didn't seem right.
I felt a lot of shame. I have sent people to prison. I felt that it was my responsibility to do something about it.
She crafted a unique law that passed in 2018 that allows prosecutors to take a look back at their old cases and request resentencing for those who've rehabilitated. And she started the Oakland-based nonprofit For the People.
So we started For the People with a very simple mission, which is to identify and support the safe release of people from prison that don't need to be there.
For the People has helped pass prosecutor resentencing laws in California and 5 other states. The nonprofit's worked with about 60 prosecutors around the nation to resentence more than 1,000 people. Many of those freed had served years for robbery, burglary, or 3 strikes convictions. Resentencing considers outdated laws, the person's past, the crime, rehabilitation, re-entry plan, and victims' input.
We work with prosecutors to be a part of going back to court, saying that, Your Honor, I asked this person to be sent away, and now I am asking this person to be released because it is in the benefit of the community that this person be home.
People like Troy Dunmore, who got 65 years to life for robbery in 1995. But in prison, he dealt with his anger and addiction and embraced education.
It was just about to be a better person in there because I was tired of everything that I was doing in my life was always failure.
He'd served 26 years and had at least 39 more to go when he was resentenced in 2021. He was going home.
Shocked. This is my office right here.
Today, the recovering drug addict is a drug counselor in San Francisco's Tenderloin and works toward a college degree, thanks to support from his family, For the People, and social workers.
It feels like I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on right now.
Yeah.
And the success stories bring Hillary joy.
They're really monumental celebrations of just being free and not having to be behind bars anymore.
So for creating a new criminal justice reform tool for the people, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Hillary Blount.
And you can nominate a local hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award on our website, kpix.com/icon. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.